What's cracking, people? It's your man, Cousin T, aka the Alpha Wingman, representing high-level technicians operating globally and beyond. So listen, today I wanted to go into a topic and a video that could quite possibly and quite easily be broken into 3 or 4 other videos, but because myself and Rom Wills discussed this, that he would take it from the street level and break down the Gigolo game, or what elements go into that energy from the street side of things. I would take it to a different space, that more select, that ASP, that Jesse Williams level, Stedman Graham level energy. But before I get into the information that I was going to get into, I've already seen Rom's video, which was definitely great. He left a lot of gems that I cannot skip over. I simply can't skip over before going into my observations about this subject. And first of all, let me apologize in advance, because I know that Rom and other select content creators are going to be mad at me for, 1, revealing this information, and 2, not making people pay for it. But you know what? Sometimes you just got to drop some gems, on the public side. But first of all, to address that one part where he talked about the body style of the type of man who could, if he chose to, run the Gigolo game. So as a personal trainer, part of our certification is understanding special populaces and segmentation of population. And so basically that all boils down to what are some attributes, corrected for, age, gender, and other demographical factors, and how those translate into expressions physically. And basically, when he was talking about there's probably 5%, of men who can present those attributes, he was definitely being generous, because statistically, one example is statistically, the percentage of men who have abs, like displayed abs, like exposed abs, you can actually count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, is about 1%. And that translates into about 1 in 100. So if you look at 100 men walking down the street, there's only 1 that statistically has exposed abs. So that's just one example. We're not even talking about height. We're not even talking about symmetry of face. We're not talking about bone structure. We're not talking about all these other things that come together that bring the elements of that ASP, or that just natural physique having guy who can easily walk into a space and have high level women, women who write their own checks, women who are in a boss position, or that queen energy, or that diva energy, who can take care of herself and can easily take care of a man who desires that showpiece on her side, who can easily do that. I would take that from the 5 percentile down to maybe the 3 to 1 percentile. That's the first thing that I wanted to address. But another thing, this should hint become its own webinar or its own series, and this is what I call cold approach kung fu. Now, I know that cold approach is something that has been going back and forth and debated. Interestingly debated. I'm like, why is it even a debate in this space, in the select man space? I guess we're gonna call it the select manosphere, which is, I guess, a hybrid of the manosphere, the black manosphere. Now we're introducing the select manosphere, right? But in any case, I call it cold approach kung fu. And one of the things that Mom said in his video was that when you approach an attractive woman, you would need to pay her price, quote unquote, if you want her to invest in your program. What I would have to say to that is reference the P codes, and people who have seen that webinar know what I'm talking about when I say the P codes. And I'll give you an example, and this is that shit that, you know, cats pay for, but I'll give you a little example just so that, you know, we can show our work and let you know where I'm coming from. So the example is, first, when you're observing a woman that you want to approach, instead of approaching with the mentality that, yes, if I approach her, I'm going to have to pay some type of price. In my space, in my world, what we do is we observe different attributes of that woman. What does she look like? What's her hair like? What is she wearing? What are the shoes like? Any aspect. Where am I meeting her? Am I meeting her in an office space? Am I meeting her in a plaza? Am I meeting her at the train station, at the airport, whatever? Select men and ASPs have the ability to observe an aspect of a woman and then create a need. So basically, when we look at a woman, we're already formulating in our mind how our approach will be showing her that she needs something from us. So instead of having to pay whatever that approach price or whatever to her, we're already creating an invoice that she owes us. And that's the flip side of that game. But that's only game. That's a level of game that only select men understand, because here's an example of it, right? You're walking up to a woman. You see that she is walking her dog, right? And you see what type of breed of dog that is, and you approach and you say, "Oh wow, that's a great breed of dog. Did you know that they require blah 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 type of dog food? I could recommend something to you, but we'd have to do so over lunch." That little example is just taking an aspect that she has a very, surface level of understanding of, inserting your level of expertise or perceived level of expertise, and actually flipping it and giving her an invoice for services that haven't even been rendered or tendered yet. So basically, it's not even thought of as cold approach in my world, because it's a privilege for women to be in the presence of an ASP or a select man. That's just an example of it, one example. But basically, what you would need to do is cloak a woman in your ism. And what I mean when I say that is, your ism is basically your essence. And high-level players, pimps, select men, ASPs, USPs know what I say when I say ism. And here's one of my isms. I call them cousin T-Taw isms. So people who know me know that I consider the gym to be church, right? I consider that to be sanctuary, temple, whatever you want to call it. That's the one place where I get to just lay my exercises down, lay my drop sets down at the altar of gains. Like, it's all about the gains for me at the gym. I don't want to be distracted. I don't want, people coming in my space. I don't care how hot she is. I don't care how thick that ass is. I am focused on, this superset real quick. However, that being said, and part of being a technician is that you set these boundaries and you set these rules up so that it can tease out the exception. Because the more you say no, the higher the caliber of yes has to be when it comes to you. That's more game for you. So basically, the other day I was at the gym, and this delicious red bone came into my purview. And normally I would just, go on about my business. However, something struck me, and the way that it just downloaded. Okay, approach like this. But what I wanted to do was get an extra workout partner. Now, she was fine, obviously, but at the same time, like I said, that's not a space that I approach women. So I wanted to set it up to where she's a workout partner, so there would be a mutual exchange of value. That's another thing as far as technology is concerned. High level game, exchange value. So basically, this was my ism. what ended up happening was, of course, I approached, I introduced myself, and I started asking her, about her interests in working out and things like that, and she wanted to become a trainer and blah, blah, blah. So I propositioned that, we start working out, we become workout buddies. And she immediately was like, oh man, my boyfriend works out here. I don't know how he would feel about that. He would get pushed to the side. Obviously, I was like, we can work out around your boyfriend. And of course, your sixth sense tells you what's up. Clearly, her boyfriend was maybe 2 machines down behind me. And that's why she was bringing him up at the moment that we were talking. So I immediately switched it over to what my ism was going to be. Part of my ism is making new women, giving new women pet names. Now, if you're able to give a woman a pet name and she accepts it, it's already done. Your work is done. You have nothing left to do. So what I did was I said, so what's your name? My name is Tony, right? She gave me her name, and I said, you know what? We're not going to use names anymore. We're twins because we were similar in skin tone. So every time I see you, I'm gonna say, "What's up, twin?" And every time you see me, you're gonna say, "What's up, twin?" Right? And of course, she said yes. And on my way to walk away, I said, "All right, twin, see you later." She said, "Okay, twin, I'll see you later." Even though her man was standing right there. Okay, that's an ism. That's a cousin Tita ism. I'm gonna give y'all that for free. Next time you'll have to pay for it. But that's just an example of the exchange that ASPs, USPs, and select men provide. So it's really a different level and a different space that men of a certain caliber bring women into. And that's what I mean when I say that it's actually a privilege for women to exist in that space. And it doesn't even matter if the woman is in a relationship or not. Just to feel that energy lets her know that she's a part of something different, something special, something high level. That's why we continue to use these terms, high level. For the rest of the time that I worked out, she had her eyes locked on me. Even though her boyfriend started joining her in whatever exercises she was doing, she couldn't help but look over him at me. He even approached me at some point asking about working out, to which of course I declined because I was in the middle of my workout. But that's just an example of how that flows. But getting back into the case of Gigolo men and the type of levels that are displayed, and how a man of a certain caliber is able to embrace the true essence of his masculine self. It shows that he's equipped with the ability to shape and mold his world and his image. Now, we have to cite a few examples when we talk about these types of men.